Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Your old pal, Matty Motorcycle here, and today we are lucky enough to have Yamaha's MT09 in the building, the ultimate hoodlum and hooligan racer friend you'll ever have. Let's do it. Alright team, there's a million reviews on this motorcycle. As I've seen in all of the forums, there's a ton of these bikes, there's a ton of guys that love them, and there's a ton of guys that are super particular about the information that they want on this bike. So let's just start out with the good stuff. We get it. It's got a triple. We get it. You twist the throttle, the wheel comes up. But let's understand exactly why. So, most importantly about the interest of this bike is the frame. What Yamaha did and what they freely admit is this frame isn't rigid enough for the power and the torque that this little triple engine produces. So this little piece right here, this little extra part on the frame, is fundamentally flawed, meaning it just gives too much flex. So every time you crack that throttle, especially if you have this super soft suspension, that wheel's gonna come right up. So all my friends out there that think you are wheelie gods, maybe you are pretty good at it, but you're having a little bit of help from the engineers over here at Yamaha. Now, this still can carve up a back road like a champion. We're gonna talk about that in just a little bit. But it's this frame that really makes it super easy, super hooligan to do misbehaving things on. Another fun fact, all my Yamaha fans out there, Yamaha has sold approximately in the United States since the inception of this bike over 500,000 units. Now, these retail from the dealership between $8,000 and $9,000. You can walk in off the street, they'll give you a helmet, they'll give you a couple of pairs of gloves and some riding jeans, and you're good to go. $9,000 out the door, that's amazing. Now, all my friends out there who are about to buy a brand new 2020 R1 with every electronic bell and whistle and advantage that you could ever imagine on a racetrack, I need you to thank everybody who's riding these MT09s. The profits that Yamaha made off of this bike, its little brother, the MT07, and its big brother, the MT10, are what's funding all the R&D for that MotoGP team and every single R1 that's out there. You think you gotta upgrade because you're so lucky? You gotta upgrade because they sold 500,000 of these just in the United States. Worldwide, what, it's gotta be double that? That's incredible for a motorcycle. Thank you Yamaha, thank you MT09. This is the reason we got fast super bikes out there. All my Matty Motorcycle fans out there, I've been lucky enough to personally ride this bike on a couple of racetracks. Down in West Virginia, I got to ride it on Shenandoah, tight, twisty, and fun, and then I got to ride it on Summit, Maine, with a 160-mile-an-hour main straight. But to bring it in and talk even more about how fun this bike is to ride, we are lucky enough to have my good friend, Anthony from Gorilla Racing. So everybody out there, put your hands together, give it up for my buddy.
My man, what's up?
Great to see you, Ant. I want to talk about how wonderful this bike is to ride. So now we talked about the wheelie factor. I've seen you at a stoplight, buddy. Tell me what happens.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the premier wheelie guy out there, but this bike makes me feel like I am. Literally just a crack in the throttle, front end comes up, you let that traction control just underneath it, float, 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 and you can keep riding it out for blocks and blocks and blocks. And that's not who I am. I'm not a wheelie guy, but this bike makes me feel like I am.
Now, on top of the wheelies, I understand because I've been watching you disappear into the distance on any back road out there. Tell me about how this handles.
This thing handles like a dream on the back roads. My only quarrel with it is the suspension. It is a little soft for a bigger guy like us. You know, we are fat.
200 plus pounds, man.
And I think you were saying earlier that the facts out there is the suspension is only built to handle a 150-pound rider. I'm 215 on a good day, going down the back roads. This thing likes to wallow a little bit if you don't get your body position set up nice and if you push it a little bit too hard. Especially when I have my wife on the back, which is the whole reason why I bought this. That extra weight really compresses that rear shock.
So riding two up is super fun, but maybe not exactly ideal for keeping up a pace.
I would agree with that 100%, Matt.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And other fun facts about this bike, how do you feel sitting on it? Comfy, reckless, hurts your back? Talk to me.
Super comfortable. I can ride this thing all day. In fact, I have, it doesn't have a lot of miles on it, but I think I put all those miles on in like 2 days. One of them being at the racetrack when they delivered it to me. R1's brothers up in Pittsburgh, great guys, did a sick job, delivered to me at the racetrack. I got to kill this thing all day long at Pittsburgh Pit Race International Raceway.
Pit Race International Raceway, man. So this has been on a bunch of racetracks already.
A bunch of racetracks. Yeah, barely broke it in, but it's already hit 3 of the best racetracks in the country right there.
Awesome. All right. Next, let's talk about some of the upgrades you've done and are about to do on this bike. All my moto junkies out there, you know as well as I do that when you get a bike, the first thing that gets put on the garage floor is that cheesy stock exhaust can. But this MT09 has a little bit extra special stuff. And tell us what you did as far as the exhaust and tuning on this motorcycle.
So first off, we got rid of the big heavy cat and the stock exhaust, which is, for this bike, very heavy. So we got the full headers coming all the way back to the Alpha T Yoshimura carbon fiber can. And then on top of that, we did a air intake modification. You can find it online, super easy to do. There's a snorkel inside this. You pull this gas tank up inside the airbox, there's a snorkel that goes down. It's about 6 to 8 inches deep. You cut that almost completely off, you leave about 1.5 to 2 inches. And then up front over here, there's a plate that actually blocks the airflow from coming in. You drill a couple holes in there, get some extra airflow in there. Then the magic happens. You send it off to your tuner. I personally use my sponsor, Boss Racing.
Let's see the logo. Show them the logo right on the sleeve. There it is. Yeah.
We send it up to Boss Racing up in Franklin, New Jersey, where Anthony Corbo does his magic. He made this thing a complete and absolute beast. It wheelied before, now it wheelies out of every single corner if I'm not in a high gear. Absolute blast to ride.
All right, so now we talked about exactly what he did already. The tuning, crucial. The exhaust, obviously. Next things, what toys and bells and whistles are we about to add to this? Now there's a couple things you think are crucial to the performance of this motorcycle, and tell me what's first.
Mandatory. Anyone over 150 pounds, please, please, please do yourself a favor if you want to ride this thing super hard. Put a suspension on it. Me personally, it's the next thing I'm going to do. It's going back to Boss Racing. He's going to get me a full K-Tech suspension. We're going to do internals in the front with valves, and then we're going to do a full shock in the rear, fully adjustable, the RD Pro, I think it's called. Once that's done, the bike will handle even better than it already does.
All right, guys. Now, all my racer friends out there, if you'd hit some track days, listen, I'm gonna be honest, I don't do it personally, but apparently there's something called GP shift, which takes the gearbox and flips it upside down. So instead of clicking up through the gears to go faster, you actually click down. First off, Ann, tell me a little bit about GP shift and tell me how you do it on this particular bike.
All right, so most bikes, you can normally be able to flip the gearbox real easily by flipping the linkage. On this bike, the rear set is actually in the way, so some guys go out and buy rear sets. It's usually the easiest, most common way to do it. And rear sets are a great idea, especially when they have the rigid peg that doesn't fold up in case you are dragging peg on the pavement. But on this bike, there's a part of the stock rear set that has to be bored and rounded to allow that linkage to shift. We are going to do that in the future. The main advantage to using GP shift over regular standard shift is when you're leaned over in a corner and you're cranking on that gas, you can easily flick up rather than getting your foot over the peg and clicking down.
That's our plan, so we'll see what happens as far as the build goes moving forward on this bike. Look forward to updates in the future. This thing, already a beast, is going to be even more beastly. Folks, thank you for watching, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about how lovely this machine sounds. We talked about the exhaust, and tell me, why do you love the sound of this machine?
I cannot lie, this even sounds better than an R1. When you're wringing this thing's neck, the inline triple, it sounds amazing, especially with the Alpha T exhaust. Hopefully we can get a clip of it for you because it's majestic.
And folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my buddy Ant, Coast to Coast Coaching. Make sure you check out our links underneath. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share this video, tell all your friends, and of course, if you got a bike and you're in the tri-state area, that's New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, come to my studio. Let's talk about the machine that you love and that you ride. Thanks guys, Matty Motorcycle, Ant Sabatino.